Hi guys, welcome to this video. This is your teacher Angel, and in this opportunity, we will study the division between decimal numbers. Well, first, before going to the main matter, we have to keep in mind these instructions right here. First of all, uh, before breaking down the digit of the tens place, do you remember what is the tens place? We have to put a decimal point in the quotient. We have to keep in mind this instruction first. And then the steps to divide. The steps to divide are just four. We have to repeat this process step by step in the same order as many times as necessary to until have a remainder of zero. Once the remainder is the number zero, we know that the division is over, right? Well, these are just the steps to divide. First of all, we have to divide. You will see later with an example that may help you to understand. The second step is to multiply, the third step is to subtract, and the last step is to bring down the next digit. Remember, follow this process in the same order. So, let's try an example that may help you to understand these steps. Suppose that we have 4 and 85 hundredths divided by, this is a decimal point here, divided by 5, right? Well, first of all, we have to set up the division problem. The long division, remember, we have to draw right here the division bar. Underneath the division bar calls the dividend. What is the dividend here? The first number, the number, the left side is the dividend. It's a number that is being divided by or split up. In this case, is 4 and 85 hundredths. And well, the dividend goes underneath. The remainder is right here underneath the dividend. The quotient is right here, is actually the answer. And the divisor is this number. The number on the right side goes out here. So this is a long division. And first we have to set up the division problem. Well, now, remember these instructions. The steps to divide. First of all, we have to divide. What is it? What does it mean? To divide means to ask yourself some questions. One question can be, for example, how many times does the divisor fit into 4? That could be a first question. Or the second question is, how many groups of 5 can be taken out of 4? Since the number 4 is smaller than 5, we know that 0 groups of 5 can be taken out of 4, right? This is the first step. That's what I mean with divide. Now, the second step is to multiply. So we have to multiply the number by the divisor. In this case, 0 times 5 equals to 0, right? That was a second step, to multiply. Now, the third step is to subtract. We have to subtract these numbers here. 4 minus nothing is equal to 4, right? And then the last step is to bring down the next digit. What is the next digit? The next digit is the number 8, but remember that before bringing down the digit that is in the tens place, remember, we have to put a decimal point in the quotient. I have to put a decimal point right here, and then we are allowed to bring down the tens digit. Remember, guys. Now, we have bring down the digit. Now we have to repeat the same process. First, we have to divide how many groups of 5 can be taken out of 48. Well, we know that 9 times 5 equals to 45. So 9 groups. Now, the second step was to multiply 9 times 5 equals to 45. The third step is to subtract. We have to subtract these numbers here. 48 minus 45 equals to 3, right? That was the third step. The last step is to bring down the next digit. Well, what is the next digit? The next digit is the number 5. You have to bring down this number. And then repeat the same process because the remainder is not the number 0. We have to multiply, or we ask ourselves, how many groups of 5 can be taken out of 35? In this case, we know that exactly 7 groups because 7 times 5 equals to the same number, 35. That was the second step. We multiply. And the third step is to subtract. We subtract this number, and 35 minus 35 equals to 0. And then we have to bring down the next digit. But the next digit is the number 0 because on the thousands position, there is not any number. Even though there is not any number, we know that the thousands position is the number 0, but bringing down the 0 is the same as putting many zeros here in the quotient. But remember, there is 0 on the thousands positions. Doesn't change the value of the quotient, right? So here, the subtraction is 0, the remainder is 0. We know that the division is over, right? So what is the result here? What is the answer? The answer is 0 and 97 hundredths. Right, guys? Now let's try another example. Let's try some samples because the more we practice, the more we learn. Suppose that we have, let's erase this part here. Suppose we have 7 ones and 7 tenths divided by 5. Divided by 5, right? Well, I ask you this before setting out the problem. Oh, the number 7 is on the 10th place, right? The number 7 is on the 10th place. Now, which number is on the 100th place? So here we don't have any number on the 100th place. So we can place a number 0, and this won't change the value of the dividend because 6.7 is equal to 6.70, right? So we are allowed to add several zeros right here, and this won't change at all the value of the dividend. Will be the same number because we know that here we don't have any number in the hundredths position, on the thousands positions, so we are allowed to put a number 0 because putting a number 0 and saying that there is nothing is the same. Well, so we set out the division problem. Remember the division bar, the dividend goes right here. So we can add a number 0 here. We can add a number 0 here. As many zeros as we want. This won't change the value. We know that it's the same number actually. Now, we have to perform this division. First of all, we divide. How many groups of 5 can be taken out of 6? 1 group. because 1 times 5 equals to 5, and we subtract, because that was the second step, we subtract the third step. The subtraction gives 1, right? And the subtraction is done. Now we have to bring down the next digit. What is the next digit? It's the number 7. But remember, the 7 is in the 10th place. For doing so, we have to put a decimal point in the quotient, and then we are allowed to bring down the 10th digit. Well, now, that was the fourth step. We repeat the process. First, we divide. How many groups of 5 can be taken out of 17? 17. Well, 4 times 5 equals to 20, so it have to be 3 groups. 3 times 5 equals to 15, right? How was the second step? Multiply. The third step is to subtract. 17 minus 15 equals to 2, right? How was the subtraction? Now the last step is to bring down the next digit. Well, the last digit was the number 7. After the 7, we have, what is the next digit? The 0, right? So the next digit is the 0. Remember, even though we can't see any 0 in the dividend, we know that in the hundreds position, in the thousands position, and so on, there are zeros, right? So we bring down the number 0 here. Bring down, that was the fourth step. We have to repeat the process. First, we divide. How many times does 5 fit in 20, or how many groups of 5 can be taken out of 20? Well, 4 groups exactly, because 4 times 5 equals to 20, right? That was the multiplication, then the subtraction. This gives 0, right? And then I have to bring down the next digit. What is the next digit? Is also a number 0. But this won't change because we repeating the same process. Is the same as adding several zeros in the quotient, but this won't change the value of the quotient at all, remember. So since the remainder is the number, since the remainder is a number 0, we know that the deviation is over, right? Well, guys, what is the result? What is the answer here? Is 1/34, right? Well, let's try another example. Suppose we have 18, number 1.8 divided by 9, right? Well, we have to set out the division problem. The dividend, sorry guys, a dividend 181.8 goes underneath the division bar. The divisor goes out here. The result, the answer, the quotient goes up here, and the remainder goes down here. Now, the same process. We have to divide. So some students before going to the first step, they ask, is the 9 greater than the first digit? If it is not, they take the two first digits, in this case 18, because 18 is greater than 9. So they ask themselves, how many times does the number 5 fit into 18? And they start the division taking the first two digits. Well, we won't do it. We will follow the same procedure because I think that this is better for you. This is better. Now, 9. How many groups of 9 can be taken out of 1? We already know that 0 groups, because the number 9 is greater than 1. 0 times 9 gives 0. Then that was a multiplication. We subtract 1 minus nothing is equal to 1, right? That was the subtraction. And then we bring down the number 8, which is we have now 18, right? Now, how many times does 9 fit in 18? Well, we know that 2 times 9 gives exactly 18, right? That was a multiplication. Now, the third step is to subtract. We subtract the same numbers. The result is 0, right? I have to bring down the next digit. What is the next digit? Is the number 1, right? Is the number 1. That was the last step. Now we ask ourselves, how many groups of 9 can be taken out of 1? Well, again, the same problem as that we have in the beginning. Since the number 9 is greater than 1, 0 groups of 9 can be taken out of 1. 0 times 9 equals to 0. That was the second step, we multiply. The third step is to subtract. 1 minus nothing is equal to 1, right? That was the subtraction. We have to bring down the next digit now, but look at this, the next digit is the number 8 and it's in the tens place. So before bringing down the number 8, since it is in the tens place, we have to put a decimal point right here, and then we can bring down the number 8 here. Now, how many times does 9 fit in 18? Exactly 2 times, because 2 times 9 equals to 18. And the subtraction, which is the third step, is 0, right? I have to bring down the next digit. What is the next digit? We don't have any number right here. The remainder is 0. We are allowed to continue the division by bringing down the 0 here, the 0 right here, and so on. But we won't change the value of the quotient, because adding zeros, several zeros in the quotient, won't change the value at all, right? Well, guys, the division is over. And what is the result? The result is 0. The 0 is on the hundreds position, right? So we don't have any hundreds, any groups of 100. Number 2 is in the tens place, right? So we have 2 tens. And number 0 is in the ones place. We have 0 ones. This is the decimal point. And the number 2 is in the tens place. So we have 2 tenths. So the answer is 20 and 2 tenths, right, guys? This was the third example. And let's try the last one. Suppose that we have 0.0 and 800 and 708. Well, 0.708 divided by 3. Well, First of all, we set out the division problem. And number 3 goes right here. The dividend goes underneath the division bar. So 0.708, right? Let's follow the number 7 is in the tens place. So before bringing down the number 7, we have to put a decimal point in the quotient. Now, what is the first step? To divide. How many groups of 3 can be taken out of 0? We know that 0 groups. 0 times 3 equals to 0. And nothing minus nothing equals to nothing, right? So that was the second step. The subtraction, that was the third step. And the last step is to bring down the next digit. So before bringing down the number 7, since it is in the tens place, we have to put a decimal point here, and we bring down the number 7 here, right? Now, let's repeat the same process in the same order. First, how many groups of 3 can be taken out of 7? Well, 2 groups. 2 times 3 equals, that was the second step. We multiply 2 times 3 equals to 6. Now the third step is to subtract. We subtract these numbers. 7 minus 6 equals to 1, right? Now we bring down the next digit. There's a number 0 here. We bring down the number 0. And repeat the process. How many times does the 3 fit in 10? Exactly 3 times, because 3 times 3 equals to 9. That was a multiplication. Then we subtract. The result is 1. Right? That was the subtraction. And the last step is to bring down the next digit, which is the number 8. We bring down the number 8. It's actually the last digit. The same process. How many times does the 3 fit into 18? Exactly. How many times? 6 times, because 6 times 3 equals to 18. Exactly 18. That was the second step. The third step is to subtract. The remainder is 0. And we don't have any other number to bring down. We actually have, because right here is the number 0, right here is the number 0, 0, as many times as we want, but remember that adding zeros in the quotient doesn't change the value of the quotient at all, right, guys? So the remainder is 0, and we don't have any other number to bring down. The division is over. Well, guys, let's try some other problems at home and practice, because the more we practice, the more we learn. Remember, you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.